This is Jazz Masters, Keepers of the Flame. I'm Nkenge Zola with Master Trumpeter Marcus Belgrave.
Hi, Nkenge. How you doing?
Quite well,
Good.
and happy for this interchange we're about to engage in here today.
Very good. Yeah, I am too.
You know, when one begins, when you put your foot on a path, you think you're going into one situation with one frame of mind, and then you get that other foot down, and then it becomes something very different. So it's all likely that when you put your foot on the path of playing a trumpet, this instrument that had a history, that there are all these people that had come before you that shaped this thing, this horn, I mean, not physically, but had shaped its history. Here you come putting your foot on the path. And I bet your head was turned around 3 different times before you began to find what you felt was your stride in playing the trumpet and contributing your statement to this big mix out here we call the world.
Wow, that's very warmly put and very in depth because you took me way, way back, which reminds me of the time when I went to look for a job once after I had been playing. In fact, I went to look for a job after I had been on the road with Ray Charles, and I was in the change of, I was about to change occupation. And I had gotten on the bus and went to Marcus Hook, which is a town about 5 miles from my hometown. and I was going, I don't know why I was going to Marcus Hook's aimlessly. I was looking for a job. So someone had suggested this oil company. It's called Sun Oil. And here I was on the bus going to Sun Oil Company to get a job. I got off the bus and I walked about another mile. And while I was walking, I'm looking at all these oil refinery and all these tanks and things. And as I was walking and I'm thinking and I'm humming a tune, I don't remember what tune it was I was humming right now, but I was humming a tune, and the closer I got to the gate, the happier I got because I knew I wasn't going to go in that gate. And when I got to the gate, I did a about face, and by the time I got there, I decided that music was going to be my life from then that point on. But it was just, as you put it, 3 times, yeah. I came to Detroit with the same idea. One time I went looking for a job, same way, and I got to the place, and the man turned me down, and I was happy again. Broke, but happy. But but I had long before that decided I really wanted to be a trumpet player. Although as a young man, you find yourself saying, well, here I am with a family. How am I going to take care of my family and play this music? And I really want to be true and sincere to my family. But first of all, I had to find out I had to be true to myself. And in being true to myself, I had to do the things that made me happy first. Somewhere along the line, someone that I'd heard somebody say that, I guess. And then I found that in order to play this music that I was destined to play, I had to find that I had to be dedicated. And so I had to learn very early what dedication meant. That you have to go hungry a few days or go without, so to speak, in order to be, to set the pattern straight, But I found that I never went hungry. I was cold a few days, and without, but I never really was hungry.
Okay, somebody always came with a plate for you?
Yeah, always, my father told me that though. He said, as long as you keep this horn in your hand, you'll never go hungry. And that stayed with me for a long time.
Okay, so when you came on the set, when we think of an instrument, okay, there's an instrument, this inanimate object. which was, I think, really nicely expressed in the Mo Better Blues of Spike Lee. Did you see that, the opening scene?
No, I haven't.
You've got to see this, because the opening, the way the light is on this instrument and the camera just like caresses this horn, and you're like, what is that? Which instrument is that? And then you find it. It's revealed to you this is a trumpet. And here is this inanimate object, which had a very distinct history before African Americans got a hold of it.
Right.
In this tradition, I guess at that time, this forming tradition as jazz. Then you came in, and I'm wondering, did you feel that there was something, a particular style, a particular thing that would happen to you as a player when you first started, that was shown to be not what was going to be the reality with you in this instrument?
No, I often wondered, where I would fit, because at very early age, the things that made me really want to play the trumpet were people like the people in that history. People like Dizzy Gillespie was the first person that I heard play the instrument, and that was well, I won't say he's the first I heard play the instrument, but he's the first that I really liked, and I was about 4 years old when I heard him. So, but before that, I'd probably heard Louis Armstrong, because he was my father's favorite musician, and before that, I heard many other players play in marching bands, So the instrument was a total fascination to me from the very beginning. But then, as I said, hearing Dizzy Gillespie really excited me at 4 years old to want to play the instrument, and so I learned at a rapid pace. My father started me at 6 on the trumpet. I had played the bugle before then. He started me out playing bugle calls before the trumpet.
Like, you mean like taps and stuff like that?
Yeah, and reveille and half reveille, and to that piece they play for the races, horse races, So I had gotten my chops into the buzz before I even started on the trumpet. So when I started the trumpet, I progressed pretty fast, and by the time I was 8, I was listening to Miles Davis, and with the insistence of my first cousin Cecil Payne, who was currently at that time playing with Dizzy Gillespie's band and also other bands around New York and around the scene. He played, but him and Max Rose went to school together. So they were, the Brooklynites. So I got a good education, early education, or a dedication to the music, So by the time I was 12, I became professional. Well, professional meaning that I joined the union, that my father put us in the musicians union. My brother was a wizard on the soprano saxophone. And it took him a month to get a sound out of the mouthpiece. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. So that music, and that was a very vital part of our growth and our cultural growth. It was just a part of the nature of living.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't too far removed from being. It was just one of those things that you did, in my realm, in my family realm. So I felt real comfortable with it from the beginning. I had no idea it was going to be my vocation, though. However, it was just one of those things that were part of the culture of our everyday living.
So with that kind of background, in shaping your vision as an artist, you had a lot to draw on. But when you have a lot to draw on, it seems like all that lot can sometimes be confusing.
Right.
When you're trying to figure out what am I going to do when there's so much stuff around here.
Exactly. I had no idea that I would continue. In fact, out of my family, there was had a sister who played the piano. She was fantastic. She was younger than me, and well, I was the oldest of that particular group. I had a brother and sister older than me who played and had long quit playing by the time I was of age to start. So then there was my younger brother next to me and my sister who were the next two to start, and my father started them on piano. And then so we had a family band. And as I said, by the time I was 10, and we played the teas and different functions, the UNIA. I don't know if you're familiar with that organization.
Universal Negro Improvement Association, Marcus Garvey's
of course you would be.
organization.
Yes. And
your father was a Garveyite?
Yes, right.
All right.
Right. So
self-determination.
Self-determination, So that family togetherness was uppermost in our family, and my father was definitely a race man, So, but he also got along with everyone, He was the type of person that could sit with kings, being a British subject, and came to America and in I don't forget what years, just before I was born probably, and but he served in the British Army instead of the American Army. So and then I came along in 1936. So I don't know. So I had such an oral history. So I guess that's why I ended up doing what I've been doing in Detroit all these years. I just felt comfortable with helping young people to develop their skills and their attitude in life, toward what their outlook would be toward life. Period.
Do you find it difficult to look at the kinds of things people say about you as an artist and reconcile those things with your life as a developing human being? I mean, like the accolades. You get the accolades all over the planet. And well, people have been saying things, and not, of course, they're founded.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're getting all these things, tell me some of these things people say about
you. But I don't really.
You don't try to keep it, do you?
No, I don't.
I want you to call some of them up now, though.
I wish I could. I cannot really. And in fact, when I hear them, I think, wow, are they kidding me? I never felt that I was that, that much of, a martyr or anything. I never thought of myself as that. Just doing what I feel is natural, and imperative to my life. It's not something that nothing great about it. In fact, I still want to do I still got some great things I want to do. If I could ever get some of these things out of the way, some of the necessary things out of the way of living every day, the time. I've never really been able to do what I really want to do, and that's what I really always wanted to write music. And when I did take the time to write at my younger age, I could never get anyone to play what I wrote, so I stopped writing. But then, because I grew up in a community where I didn't realize it at the time, but I grew up in a community and at a period in my life where I was 5 years behind the giants.
In chronological age, biological age.
Yeah.
Okay.
In other words, I grew up around people like Clifford Brown and Jimmy Heath and Orrin Marshall, but I was 5 years their junior, so I really couldn't hang with them. I wasn't in their, in their company at all times. In fact, one time in high school, in my junior high school, I was actually the only musician in my junior high school. We had a music teacher to come to who was a very fantastic trombonist. And he came to our school as a teacher. He had just come out of college, and he came to our school to teach, and he was happy to be there. But I was his only student, and after about 6 months, he got discouraged and became a milkman. He gave up his music and went back to being a milkman, delivering milk, and it really blew my mind. You know, at that time and at that time the music programs in the school were suffering. That was in the junior high. I had to wait till I got to high school in order to get into an organization where they had more than, in other words, I was a viable band that I could relate to. In fact, they came to the junior high school and got me out. They heard so much about me. They came and got me out of the junior high school and took me to high school a year earlier, than so that I could be part of the band there.
So what was the social and cultural climate like during that time when you were learning, getting your chops?
Well, yeah, well, as I said, we had the family band, so that my social life was very nil. Mm-hmm. I've always, as a young fellow, we wanted to go to dances and things like that. But my father was so strict, you had to play this music, and I was happy for it later.
Mm. So during that period, I guess we're talking about a time when the world was just coming through, like what they call the Great Divide, the World War II set.
Right, just right after World War II. Well, during World War II, because I went to school. My first year of school was 1943, so by 47, let's see, about junior high school, about 48, 1948, right after the war. Well, right after the war, I think 45. What was I doing then? I was in grade school, 5th, 6th grade, something like that.
Have you had occasion to reflect back on, because I guess those are the conditions that that industrialization of that period was part of where bebop came out of that period. Have you thought back on what kind of conditions seem to be the conditions that create the next level of the music?
Well,
like when you think if we say, okay, what was happening when this bebop thing developed, and then the straight ahead thing, or the so and so, or the swing, or whatever. It seems like there have to be certain kind of social, cultural conditions happening for people to say, look, I want to try this now.
And change.
Yeah.
Well, actually, how those things came about, and I often wonder, but I've never really spent any time to reflect on it. But now that you mention it, it was a period of the style of way people lived at that time. The bebop era, people were very free flowing. They were outgoing and happy people. People were very. They didn't have much, but they enjoyed what they had. They seemed, and there was much more emphasis on the enjoyment of life. You know what I'm saying? In fact, when I was studying, people would come by and stand out in front of the house and listen to you, on the way to their home, and then you see you on the street and say, yeah, boy, keep it up, you're gonna be all right, And so, that was very encouraging. The neighbors, all the neighborhood was very encouraging. People were close knitted then. I've been living in Detroit, on the street where I live now. I don't know the neighbors, and I've been living there 14 years. But when I was growing up, everybody knew everybody, and you communicated with everybody on your. Now I don't know how it is now. I'm just, like I say, in my neighborhood now, people are afraid of themselves, afraid of each other. At that time, we didn't have television either. See, we didn't have television. television that came about around that time, 1945, and the person that had a television, you find other people standing out in front of their house, looking in their windows, you know. But that, you know, that was, and it was accepted.
And it was, the way you're describing, this was a social activity, also something that other people, I mean, you didn't just sit there glued in or with your speakers or whatever, because
No.
people would be, well, even if you were doing that, other people expected to be part of that process.
They were part of it, and definitely were part of it. You know, people went out more back then. It was you heard of jazz at the Philharmonic, you know, which I never, as a kid, I don't remember ever going to see that, but I have been to a couple other theatrical shows where you could go all day and see the show 3 times, you know, like the Apollo eventually became the only place in the country around in the late 60s. But prior before that, there were theaters all over the country that featured live shows, you know.
Is there any possibility that that circuit that the artists used to be on, where, as you describe it, talking about community, which is one of the themes that we seem to get to every time we raise these questions about jazz, it being a social kind of thing. Okay, there's the circuit, the TOBA circuit. Remember the Tough on Black ASSES circuit? That, you know, would book you in DC, Detroit, Philly, all around. There's a circuit that you had a place to work, to play, regardless of what it, vaudeville theater, whatever. There were the theaters in the neighborhoods. When you came to town, you didn't have to stay downtown, because you stayed, somebody's taking care of you in the neighborhood.
Somebody's house. Yeah.
So now, with all those things kind of broken down, because I guess even jazz is a market item on some level, even though it's not like on the other rock and stuff like that. But do you feel that it would be valuable to kind of restore that kind of circuit and that kind of obligation where people feel they have to take care of the artists in that kind of way? Would that be helpful? Would that just get in the way of you trying to do what you need to do?
That would be that's the only way, is the way I see it. And I've thought about reinstituting that in a lot of ways in Detroit. When I first bought my house, which is a 2-family flat here in Detroit, I realized the property was very reasonable here in Michigan, probably more reasonable here in Michigan than anywhere else in the country. And that was one of my first ideas when I bought my house, is to open it up to musicians who are traveling through, you know, so that they would have, they have a place to stay and feel comfortable. They could cook and eat, and I was also thinking about having a couple extra cars so they could get to their jobs, you know, without having to go through all the
Rent a jalopy and stuff.
Yeah, rent a job. You can just come here and just have all the facilities. That's what is needed in order for this music to continue. And that's the only way it's going to get back together to where it was back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, early 60s.
All right.
Before the riots, you know, because that's when it fell apart.
Why?
Yeah, well,
because the communities fell apart?
Communities all fell apart at that point, you know.
So the music suffered?
The music suffered. Everything suffered. Communication, everything suffered at that point. Up until then, it was, you know, you felt comfortable being with community people, and community people felt comfortable bringing you into their homes. That's how I came into Detroit. I came into Detroit and stayed at people's homes before I went to the YMCA. I went to the YMCA because people got afraid of each other, you know, all of a sudden. But see, and that's what destroyed the music. All the clubs started closed, everything. And it started folded in 66, 67.
Well, how can we look at this? You really have to help me understand this. Because, see, this is your job. You're everybody's mentor now. I'm going to put you on another spin here with this. Now, okay, if there was a certain climate which enabled jazz to be created, even though in the U.S. there's, racism, there's economic deprivation for certain people. Folks couldn't do this, folks couldn't do that, women couldn't do this. If you were the latest immigrant, you were encouraged to just forget your heritage and skip where you came from and just become
American.
which meant become white and forget all your ethnicity.
Right.
So, yet and still, out of that kind of situation, this wonderful form came out that speaks to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if we're you've taken us up to the period where things changed as a result of it, while people are aspiring to create a better station for themselves. At the same time, one of the jewels became kind of tarnished, it seems like.
Right.
So, but at the same time, it seems like that was one of those periods whereby a switch, some of the conditions we talked about earlier that created kind of a switch for the music.
Mm-hmm.
That some other kind of, a different form of this jazz emerged out of this kind of.
Well,
is that, am I right?
Well, the forms were always in transition. The thing about I think about the media. I think the media. What happened to the largest thing that happened to jazz was when the media was able to take it and bend it the way they wanted to bend it. Now, when I came to Detroit, you had a 24-hour radio station, WCHD, which played jazz 24 hours. It was straight out of the pocket. Everybody was represented. You had 360 degrees of the music. They even played John Coltrane on the radio back then. Who, you know what I'm saying? Later it became, as time went on, as we got into the commercialism, and WCHD was the first black and only black station across the nation that played 24-hour jazz. But as commercialism came into being, where in other words, they started wanting more money. The radio station wanted more. They were making enough money off, as far as we were concerned, off of black businesses, but they started reaching out for that larger dollar.
Expanding the market. Okay.
So as they expanded the market, the producers or the sponsors started demanding other music. So a lot of different things happened to the music. So the curtailment of the real thing started diminishing, And so there's a lot of things. So that was one of the major things that took place in Detroit, as far as the music was concerned. So with that happening, the clubs started folding. Because when I came here to Detroit, there were 8, 10 jazz clubs. Ed Love had a show on Sunday, I forget what day. But anyway, he had this club
workshop
on Sunday where all the bands from each one of these clubs had to come and play a set at this club, which brought parents brought their children out to hear those people that they had been going out to hear, every other night in the week. But on Sunday, they could bring their families, little kids, and they could hear this music on Sunday afternoon and get a taste of everything that's happening. So, but right after that, it folded and everything, started just falling apart. All over the country, integration, I'll put it this way to make it simple, integration just destroyed black music, or the music of jazz of America, music of America. Integration destroyed it because it started dictating what should be played and what should not be played.
Okay.
And it truly just dispersed everything. I don't know where in any town right now where you could go and hear people like, at that time you could go hear Cannonball, and around the corner you hear you might hear Miles, or you might hear Jimmy Smith, or you might hear, you might, you might hear not only just in that one idiom, but you hear several different idioms, blues, I mean, in the same neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? You could go, but nowhere in the country can you go do that now.
See, I'm kind of convinced from looking at you, though, that there is a process. You want us to stop?
I'm going to interrupt just for a second.
Okay.
Like limited time now.
Okay.
One thing I'd like to cover is ask Marcus.
Do I keep bumping this? I feel like I keep bumping
No.
this. It's not making noise in there when
No.
my chin hits it?
No.
Okay.
I'd like to ask Marcus about, like, specifically jazz scene here in Detroit, how it's been for you. I'd like for you to make a quick comment about Harold McKinney and Gary Sharp, just like a quick thing, like, oh, I've known her for a while and he's a very fine musician, blah, blah, blah. Very quick. This will be like little pieces.
Oh yeah, I didn't got to that part.
I wish we had more time. We don't.
How about we have like 2-3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to be a little more specific about you playing now and what jazz means to you, and sort of like what is good jazz or something like that. In your experience around the world, I know it was, and say that all in 30 seconds.
You were just getting to that too.
Yeah, I figured you were. I just wanted to like.
Tell us to hurry up, folks. We're coming.
Some noise. Oh, that's making that.
Yes. Yes, it's trying to get to in depth what is happening, where the guys go underground. I'm wondering, where did they go? Where did everybody go? Where is everybody? Mainly they're in Europe. I mean, anybody that's making money in music is in Europe.
We've shirked our obligation. The community, the so-called community,
that's
shirked
right.
responsibility.
That's right. The community is shirked because there's nobody just will grab it and say, okay, yeah, it's there's nobody, no community people that were ready to put their foot forward. Clarence, I saw Clarence at Lamont's funeral today. Clarence at the Bluebird. See, that was one of them. That was the pearl, one of the pearls anyway.
So in this long history that you have of contributing to the Detroit scene, of bringing along people like you're out of town in a minute to be with Jerry Allen, who you're one of the people that she will not shirk it saying Marcus Belgrave is why and how I developed and realized myself as an artist. So the
reason for that is that at her growth period, I was just happened to be there at her growth, and when she was growing, and she was a nervous child anyway, but a very in depth, child. She had so much talent. Best Manya turned me on to her, and Best told me, she said, I think this girl's really got something. I want you to work with her. And so that gave me an incentive. And when I got the chance to, really get with her, I found that she had a whole lot of energy up inside her, and these boys were intimidating her. So I said, look, in order to get them boys off your back, write some music for them. Let's see if they can play it. And she brought in something that I couldn't play, So that was the beginning of her finding herself, And so her writing became her key to her opening, to flowering, So it was really, I just happy to be there at the right time. I mean, and I stayed on her when she would kind of get off. She told me one time, Mr. Belgrave, I can't play the blues, and I hit the ceiling, and I told her every reason why she should play the blues. She could not, she didn't think she could relate to it, And I gave her every reason in the world. I said, well, what, did you ever look in the mirror in the morning? You got the blues no matter what. So, and then we had a concert about 2 days later, and she played the meanest blues I ever heard in my life. I mean, she had people standing up, they would stand up, standing ovation. I mean, she played the blues at the DIA.
Well, when we look at people who are a couple of generations ahead of Jerry, we have to look at your ace.
My mentor, one of my mentors here in Detroit.
All right, say the name.
Who was Harold Nkenge, yes. And I worked with Harold for 15 years. That seems incredible. I met Harold in 1958 when I was with Ray Charles. I met him in Atlanta, and he was I was very impressed by him then. And I came here, and the first time I came here was '59, and then I came back to stay in '62. And I'd been working with Harold. I worked with Harold ever since. And in fact, a couple, I won't say their names, but a couple of people say, you're gonna have to get away from Harold. I was like Harold, I was like a marriage, I don't want to say no musical marriage. And so, I mean, his dedication and strength, I mean, just gave me the strength to want to survive and to continue in this music. So, because that was one of those periods where I, went looking for a job, but just being around Harold curtailed that idea, and I really became, I started looking into myself, introspective, and being, starting to say, well, look, maybe I got something to offer, So, so being around Harold really encouraged me to continue to do what I'm, eventually had to do.
Well, let's look at another part of the jazz community in Detroit. How about Gary Shunk?
Oh, Gary Shunk is probably one of the greatest pianists around. Because he can do it all. He's I hate to say this, but for a white boy, he sure can play. But Gary has really had. He has really studied the music. He's really been into and every aspect of it. He doesn't shirk any responsibilities of the music, and he's always querying me about my feelings all the time too. So he keeps me on my toes. I love Gary.
Jazz master, keeper of the flame, Marcus Belgrave. See, he shows the true thing of mastery. He can give other people their props. See?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what it's all about. In fact, I had a little conversation with one of my peers today, about that same thing. Sometimes I had to impress upon him the fact that sometimes, we're in a hurry. We all want to make it, so to speak. But making it is being there right now. This is making it. Right now is making it. If you can satisfy yourself and at the same time try to satisfy those who are listening to you, I think you're making it. It's sometimes it's really difficult to put yourself in the position like Lamont. I go back to a friend we just lost, Lamont Hamilton. Yeah, he came back into the music through what he says, because he heard the things I was doing with the workshop, and I like to believe that, but he's never left it really. You know what I'm saying? But he did, I will say that through his association with us, he did get an instrument, the instrument that he played until he passed, through one of the people in our workshop. So it's a lineage. It's definitely a lineage. It has nothing to do with finance, It has to do with the heart and soul of this music. If you really love it, things are going to come about.
Here's the example. Harold Oh, here's an example.
That's right.
Marcus Belgrave, jazz master, keeper
Yeah.
of the flame.
All right. Alex.
Is that it? You tired, aren't you?
I get that little bit of that wax in your ear, Marcus. Can you turn me that
It's-
side?
What would you want? You want to do some of these?
Yeah, I'd like to do one of these.
So I can clear out and let him do it
Yeah,
by
we can
himself.
just pull your microphone out. Let me see. Where
Guess what you get to do?
What's that? All these PSAs?
You get to do it one.
Better get my picture. Well, picture's good.
Oh.
Long time no see. How you been?
I was at a meeting when you came in.
Oh yeah.
Glad you were running late because I knew you
See
would
that?
still be here when I got
See
there.
that? See that? See how things happen?
Nope.
That's what Nkenge said. You were. I was right on time.
Close up of this man because he
Yeah.
took our classes and he's
And I have.
You all was the first crew coming in here. wasn't
That's right.
he
And
was.
haven't
missed you.
haven't done anything
I
since.
want a shot in here.
And I was just telling somebody about
You want to get in there too in the shirt?
I saw a thing last week. CPT. You remember that?
Color People Time?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a show
A
that
TV show?
Wayne State, yeah,
Okay.
WDT did it. I saw Herb Boyd was one of the cameramen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where was
See,
that?
That was at Wayne, down at Wayne State. What was that?
You saw that recently? Somebody
Yeah, that's the
showing
other
it?
night. The night that Lamont's funeral, somebody showed it to me.
Oh.
No kidding.
It was me and Donald Walden, Ike Daney, Rod Hicks, Harold's group.
Oh, no kidding.
Poor Harold looked so young, I just couldn't believe it. I said, wow. I mean, besides me, I mean, I didn't have not one gray hair in my head. I looked like
Stay right there.
I looked like Khalil.
Oh,
I
really?
looked like Khalil. That's right.
Okay,
I mean,
stand
Khalil.
right there. Okay. Hello, my name is Marcus Belgrave. My travels performing worldwide. I found that jazz is recognized all over the world as a great American contribution to the arts.
Okay.
Take time to learn about jazz. It's our national heritage.
Oh, okay.
Something like that.
All right,
Just
good.
look straight into the camera.
Well, let's see.
Anytime you're ready. Can you see it?
No, I had to put my glasses on. You know what I'm saying?
See.
Can you do that?
That's about right. Yeah,
Oh
right.
yeah, you can get it there.
Yeah. Is he centered up in there, Shirley? How's he looking? Is that good in the camera? No? Shiny nose? Or sit back a little bit, Marcus. That's good? Okay, that'll work.
Okay.
Okay, anytime you're ready.
My name is Marcus Belgrave, and in my travels performing around the world, I've found that this music, jazz, is recognized all over the world as a great American contribution to the arts. Oh yeah, I didn't see that, couldn't see that. I found that. Thank you,
You
Charlotte.
can wing something, you better just wing something to that.
Oh, that
effect.
sounds, I like that.
This fantastic forehead here. Like that light ever burning.
Mm.
What? Oh.
Anything? Is that better?
Look straight at the camera, Marcus.
Let me digest that. From the jazz is recognized all the world as a great American contribution. Okay. Recognized jazz recognized all the world as a great American contribution to the arts. Okay. Okay. I think I can memorize that. Oh,
You can
oh,
memorize it.
Oh,
too.
oh yeah. Okay. You can. There. That's even better.
See, actually, well, it should be a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking at it, don't look up into the camera. Just look straight at it the whole time.
Oh yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Marcus Belgrave, And in my travels performing worldwide, I found that jazz is recognized all over the world as a great American contribution to the arts. Take time to learn about jazz. It's our national heritage. Good.
Try one more time without it, just in the
Okay.
camera.
My name is Marcus Belgrave, and I found that in my travels performing around the world, that jazz is America's, as a great, okay, jazz is recognized
Performing well.
all over, okay. As America's, American, as a great American contribution to the arts, a great American contribution. Okay, let me start again. My name is Marcus Belgrave, and I found that in my travels performing around the world, that jazz is recognized all over the world as as one of the great American contributions to the arts. Take time to find out about jazz. It's our national treasure and heritage.
Yeah. Do that just one more time.
Okay. Oh, to learn. I said find out.
That's fine.
To learn.
Find out is fine too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can
Okay.
internalize it.
It's recognized all over the world as a great. That's what I was. Okay. My name is Marcus Belgrave, and in my travels as I.
I know it's tough. We had all them go through it too.
I found. Let me say that. In my travels performing. Okay. My name is Marcus Belgrave. Once again.
We're doing it. We're taping.
Uh-oh. Did I take something out of my eye?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My name is Marcus Belgrave, and in my travels around the world, I've found that jazz is a great American contribution.
You can try. Let me see if I can.
It's recognized. I found that jazz is recognized. Okay, once again. In my travels performing worldwide. Yeah. Okay. Do it again. My name is Marcus Belgrave, and in my travels worldwide performing worldwide.
There you go. Yeah, I got you. That's all right. Here we go. Blast it out one more time.
In my travels performing worldwide.
Because I'll use this,
Okay.
I'll slug it into other shows.
Okay. My name is Marcus Belgrave, and in my travels performing worldwide, I've found that jazz is recognized all over the world as the great American contribution to the arts. Take time to learn about jazz. It's our heritage and a national treasure.
That's it.
Want to do one more?
Want to do one more
Let's do one more, just
Okay.
safety. Mm-hmm. And my travels going my wine, okay. All over the world. Okay. My name is Marcus Belgrave, and in my travels all over the world, I've found that jazz is recognized as a great American contribution to the arts. Take time to learn about jazz. It's our heritage and a great national treasure.
Just say the last part. Just say take time to learn.
Take time to learn about jazz. It is our national treasure and our heritage.
No,
Sure,
because
sure.
I'm going to cut it up actually with you playing at the Algero.
Okay.
Make a little piece.
I should say it.
Let me undo this.
Oh, we're through.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good.
Hey, thanks, Marcus. Yeah, I mean, it was good to do that because I really wanted to get you guys.
She's started into a 2-hour interview there.
Oh yeah.